Good evening and welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Joshua Solomon, and with me as always is the Honorable J.P. Marzullo. How are you doing, J.P.?
I'm doing okay.
Just okay? Not fabulous?
No, we had like a 3-day summer last week, and now we're right into winter.
Oh, that was a good summer.
Yeah, it was short, but it was good. No, I'm doing fine.
Good motorcycle rides.
Yep.
All right, as usual, Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades is sponsored by the Wilson Hill Pistol Club, the oldest sports shooting club in the state of New Hampshire, 1732 Lakeshore Road, Manchester, New Hampshire, right here in Manchester. The monthly membership meeting is at 7 p.m. on the first Wednesday of every month. That's tonight. So in 56 minutes, I will see you there as fast as I can get away from this studio. Open membership. Anyone's free to come and join. Of course, we've got, rules to joining, safety, all that stuff, and lots of training opportunities. And we'll go over the training schedule for the month of November, November 5th. So this coming Sunday is a fast handgun we've been talking about. Fast means fundamentals and safety training. So it doesn't mean fast. It means fundamentals. So that's this Sunday. You can sign up at wilsonhillpistol.org, or you can just come to the club during the club meeting tonight and sign up if there are any open spaces. Next Sunday is the Defensive Handgun Level 1, again, from 8 to 5. Again, you can sign up online. And then Saturday the 18th, just added within the last week, is the Safetia, which is safety, means Second Amendment Foundation training, etc. Safety bleeding management for American Legion riders. So that may be a close to American Legion riders, but it's a bleeding management class. We do have those on occasion. So our training is not simply focused on handgun safety. It's also focused on, we have AED training and wound training and things like that, and CPR training. So all kinds of things that we do at the club. It's not just all shooting all the time. So anyway, that's our sponsors. And tonight, JP, why don't you introduce our guest?
So I have two guests, actually. One is Ron Noyes, who I've known for many years, a good friend, and he is on the advisory board for Best Buddies. And I'll let you introduce your son, Sam.
And our other guest is my very own son, Samuel Solomon.
Hello.
How you doing, Sam?
Good.
So today we wanted to talk about some programs that are available here in New Hampshire for folks with developmental disabilities and learning disabilities. And so that's why we invited Ron and Sam here to talk to us. So Ron, why don't you tell us about Best Buddies? Tell us about this.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for having me. Much appreciated, and anytime I can see JP, it's a good day.
JP's a fun guy to be around.
So Best Buddies starts in the schools, so middle school and high school, and we're in 33-ish schools throughout the state and growing fast, and it's all peer-to-peer. So I always say this when I say neurotypical, right? A neurotypical kid will start the program with teachers and staff, and that kid gets a lot of leadership training and all that, and then they get assigned and paired up with a buddy, so someone with any form of IDD. So it can be Down syndrome, autism, anything.
Yeah, and IDD is
intellectual developmental disability.
Okay, just want to make sure that.
Yep. Yeah, I tend to not like the word disability.
Yeah, I know, but we throw out the acronyms. We need to be able to let folks know what they mean. So,
and so they pair up during the school day. Like maybe they have lunch together, check in during the day, and a chapter forms, right? So there's not just one buddy pair. There's multiple, and throughout the month, maybe once or twice, go bowling, go see a movie, and a relationship forms between the two. That's kind of number one, but second, it creates that culture in that school.
Yeah, that's very important. I not recently, but we've done a couple of shows in the past on bullying in the school system, and of course that I don't think it's necessarily that's not the type of bullying that takes place nowadays. Is you bullying someone who's who's got a disability of some sort. Bullying nowadays is a lot more even harsher than that. Yeah. But programs like yours have kind of brought into mainstream and opened the eyes of a lot of folks, and like you said, changed the culture in these schools about how what did you said not normal, you were using a different term, how neurotypical students see these other students with disabilities, right? That was kind of a big thing in the past, but is that really the case anymore?
Well, what it does is it gives that friendship, and right, so maybe there's not bullying going on, but there can be some isolation.
Right, the isolation is a big thing.
Yeah, so it takes it away from that, and all of a sudden, now this is cool. It's a cool thing to do. I remember before the Steeplegate Mall up in Concord kind of just took a nosedive. I was up there at a birthday party for one of my friend's kids, and there was a Best Buddies chapter, a high school chapter, and they had like the kids, all the buddy pairs were there, and they were just having a blast. They all had Best Buddies T-shirts on, and they just sat back and watched, and it was so cool. Yeah.
So, Ron, I've never asked you, how did you get involved with Best Buddies? And you've been involved for how long now?
I've been on the board, I believe, 7 years, but before that I always did the Buddies Walk. But when I left music as a full-time career, part of that was working at a special needs school. And so when I moved into finance, I had this gap, because I missed working with special needs kids. And I'm like, I've already go to all these, Best Buddies events. Why not ask if I can be on the board? And I called Sarah Dennehy, and she was like, yeah, that would be great. So, yeah.
So Best Buddies it's a little different than, I think a lot of people know about the Big Brother program, things like that. But Best Buddies is
peer-to-peer.
Is peer-to-peer.
Yep.
It's not, there's no age gap, or the idea with a Big Brother is that it's an adult guiding a child, versus Best Buddies is, like you said, peer-to-peer.
Yep, exactly. Okay. And then even in the Citizens program, so after the school program, then they can go into the Citizens program, which is open to, again, any adult with IDD in the state. They get paired up with an individual. So I personally have a Citizens program buddy. And so it doesn't stop in high school. It continues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, Sam, you didn't have anything like that in high school.
No, I did not. Basically in high school, I didn't have anything like that, and it was so sad to me at some points because I don't have a lot of. I didn't have a lot of support like that, but I did. But one thing that I did have in high school was a lot of friends. So what that meant was that I kind of got the same experience, but in a different way.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier, was that nowadays they're not as isolated or picked on or bullied as they were, unfortunately to say, when I was in high school, right? And even earlier than that. But you didn't do this program. Do you think you would have benefited from a program like that?
I think I would have benefited from a program like that because I had a program that was similar when I walked out of high school, and it was called Project Surge.
Yeah. And
Project Surge basically is this thing for job learning experience for people with disabilities like me. And I went through that program, and I had a few internships over there. And once I got out, unfortunately, COVID hit, and another roadblock came on for about 2.5 years before I finally got a job.
Yeah, that was kind of tough, and that it was hard for us as a family because you had finished high school.
Yep.
And you had gone through the Project Search program. You had this training, but because of COVID, you couldn't get hired because all of the in-person stuff wasn't happening anymore, and that's what you were trained to do through
Yeah.
Project Search, was maintenance and cleaning and housekeeping, right?
Yep.
And so, but that underscores this idea of social interaction for folks. It was needed, right? And to be honest, there was some backsliding that you did developmentally during that period of time, and having a friend would be perfect.
Yeah, and not only that, it's kind of like a program like Best Buddies that I'm in right now. Let me explain. So, I have this home care provider named Nima. I call him my brother because me and him have such a close relationship right now, and it's kind of like Best Buddies because I have a great relationship with my home care provider.
Yep, and he does all of those types of things with you.
Yep.
So
One of the other things we do too, that it doesn't just stop in the friendship and inclusion. There's a lot of training. So like last week we had a session where a bunch of buddies came down and we worked with them one-on-one on public speaking, right? So they kind of go through this process of being, and you see it, some of the kids I've worked with in that scenario at first, that is terrifying to think I'm going to get up and speak in front of people. But you take some time and you put their story together, and by the end of it, these kids are standing up in front of 30 people, shoulders back, projecting and giving a speech in public. So there's a lot of opportunities outside of just you have a buddy. Yeah.
Yep. So you mentioned there's that program. So there's the public speaking. Is there job training type things, job shadowing, or anything like that?
So we just opened up the jobs program. And so each year we've been growing and growing and able to open up new programs. So it starts in the schools and then it goes to the citizens for adults. And now it's jobs. So it's kind of a third pillar that we're putting in there. And what that is not, okay, you have IDD, you want a job, we'll find you a job. It's, what are you interested in? What are your passions? And then we try to go out and find a match in that way, so that it's not just a thing of, go over here and, do this. It's really more engaging and directed to their interest and what they love.
And I believe that there's one major flaw in that system, and that is no people with disabilities can go into the military.
Well, there are some good reasons for that.
I know.
I mean,
I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah, I know. So, Sam, you would have liked to have gone into the military, huh?
I would have. I would have liked to continue on my great grandpa's legacy of serving in every major battle in the Pacific.
Well, I'm sure Grandpa is proud of that, but we're able to serve our country in different ways, Sam. So you can serve them by doing exactly what you're doing, wearing a hat and thanking them for their service.
Yep.
So obviously that type of job training is not available. So what kind of, are there other events that take place that you do in the Best Buddies program?
Yeah, so there's events for the buddies and buddy pairs all throughout the year. And then as an organization, we have two fundraising events. One is usually in May, that's at the State House, that's the Best Buddies Walk. That's one of my favorite days of the year. But my favorite day of the year is the gala. That's our biggest fundraising event. Every year it's growing and growing. This year I think we're going to have around 600 people there.
That's great.
Yeah, yep, and that's going to be November 18th at the Sheraton Nashua. And
Is that a formal affair?
Yes.
Like, black tie type affair type thing?
It's optional, but it is very formal.
Yep. And so how does that work? Is it like pay per plate, pay per to get in, or are there events like auctions and raffles and
Yes.
what type of
Yes to everything.
Yeah.
All of those.
probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So people will donate items to be auctioned off at a silent, auction or a raffle type thing. So yeah, you buy the ticket for the dinner, and then there's those other opportunities that come up. And people who come to this event just inherently know and already support what's going on. So they come to give, and it ends up being a phenomenal night for the organization.
Nice. So tell us, how does a family in need, and I say family because as a parent of a special needs adult, I know that some families don't have money.
Yeah.
And depending on the level of disability, there can be some challenges and some struggles. There can be some very depressing things that happen. So how does a family find out about one of these programs? And are there any costs involved, or how does a family get embedded into the program so that they can get, not only the help they need for the individual, right, the peer help, the peer support, but the relief for the family, right? I mean, because sometimes that's something that parents need, is a little bit of a break.
Yep, and that's why we do the fundraising, so that everything that the buddies and people participate in, there's no charge to them. It doesn't cost money to join Best Buddies. It doesn't cost money to be, have a program in school. It doesn't cost an individual with IDD to sign up in the Citizens Program.
So it's basically like a non-profit organization?
Yes, yep. And so that's why we do the fundraisers, so that we can, have that experience with those families.
That's what Project Search is too. It was a non-profit organization.
Yep.
You were going to say something?
Well, I was just trying to get my head around it. So you were talking about school programs, that you have them in a lot of schools. What does the program involve, and who determines whether a student should be in that program? And is it different than, like the mainstream kids, if you will?
Yeah, so the two sides of it. On the buddy side, anyone with IDD. On the side of the other kid, they've got to be a good kid. They've got to be a leader in the school. There's a vetting process. And through this opportunity, even on their side, they get a lot of leadership training as well. And so the idea and the way it's applied is that we get the good kids, and the kids who have a big heart and want to make a difference, and those are the kids who end up,
So they actually run the program, and students from the school actually run the program within the school with your support? Is that how it works?
Yeah, with a staff member.
Okay.
And so there's always oversight, and there's always expectations too. It's not just, okay, you guys signed up on paper, great. It's, we want to see these relationships, one, be forming, and then
Right.
be an active chapter. Come to the walk, try to get other people involved. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And so how do you go about finding the volunteers? Now, obviously there's a vetting process, but how do you encourage, or does it just come naturally by word of mouth?
There's so many good kids out there.
'Cause,
We always talk about.
It's not the first thing on a middle schooler's mind or a high schooler's mind. I'm going to be a freshman in high school next year, but I also want to be a best buddy. Right?
Yeah.
It's not the first thing on a child's mind.
Yep. These are exceptional kids, caring givers. And so, those kids, when they see what we do and what the organization is all about, it's a perfect fit. And I'll tell you kind of like anecdotally how it was for me when I first heard of Best Buddies. That's when I was a full-time musician, and my drummer, reaches out and he's like, hey, we got asked to do this. It's a benefit. It's not, we're not getting paid. But there's this new organization that's opening up in New Hampshire. It's been around a while, but there's going to be a chapter in New Hampshire. And I'm like, all right. So send me the info. And because you get asked to do those things all the time,
Right.
and you can't say yes to everyone. And I'm looking at the website and just lightning, like, yes, absolutely, yes, we will 100% do this. And
What attracted you? Like you said you looked at the website and said yes immediately. Do you have experience prior to that with spectrum type individuals?
Not prior.
Family? No,
it just
was
seems
just something
so
that-
cool,
Really?
and like a no-brainer. Like, and there's so many great causes out there, but I think when people see this one, and this is how it was for me, it was just a yes. Like how can you say no to that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's fabulous. I mean, because a lot of people they come into volunteerism, whether it be for something like this or something for the veterans or something for homeless or drug addiction. Or a lot of people come into volunteerism having had some sort of a personal experience that has made them passionate about a particular item, and it's interesting to see someone like yourself who developed the passion without first having had that traumatic previous experience.
Yeah, it just resonated with me.
I mean, that's fabulous. I mean, if we had more people like you who had that type of mindset.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there. I think if you look at the people on the board, if you look at the people who sign up to like the Champion of the Year gala, that's a bunch of people who are signing up to help this organization. Most of them, most of those individuals don't have someone in their life either. They just know it makes sense and it's the right thing to do, and honestly, it feels good. There's that component of it too. People think that altruism is always just the giving. You know what? Like, I get a lot out of it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think any of us who've done anything of that nature can say that. And if you haven't, you don't understand what you get back, right? It seems like, oh, you're spending a lot of time with this organization, with this charity, and what do you get out of it? And you can't explain it until you've experienced it yourself.
That's why Ron's been very successful in what he does for a living, because he cares. And you can touch on what you do, but I think that has a lot to do with who he is as a person. He's been successful not because he knew more than anybody else, or not because he was a better salesman, or not because it was because his soul was in it. And I see that all the time with Ron. And I know he's done things with veterans, and you're right. We would love to have a lot more of Ron Noyes around, but why don't you tell him what you do, and because that has a lot to do with. For me, anyway, it has a lot to do with passion and compassion to help somebody for the future, and he's got a whole different approach, and I think he's on target. That's why people want to work with him.
Yeah, I'll try to make a long story really short. I was not looking to go into, finance or life insurance or asset protection or any of that. I was going to make a change from music, and I started going into real estate, and someone said, oh, you should come to New York Life. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. No.
Going to be the atypical, insurance salesman.
Right.
Door-to-door insurance salesman.
Yeah. No connection to it at all. And I went in for an interview, and the guy was nice and whatever, and, researched the company, good company. Still, there's no connection. And he was like, will you do me a favor? Research, come back a couple weeks later. And I'm like, okay. And both times he said, to do this right, what you have to do is stay with your people, because if you miss something, something's going to go wrong. And that was kind of the heart of what he had told me. And I had just lost my dad 7 or 8 months before that, so I was helping my mom with the estate stuff, and just said, hey, Mom, did Dad have life insurance? And long story short, someone dropped the ball and didn't do their job. Mm-hmm. And he would have not wanted my mom to have a care in the world. And she's okay, but she's, got cares in the world like all the rest of us, And it was that moment, kind of lightning bolt, that what that guy was saying that had no relevance to me yesterday now has a whole lot of relevance, and I can see it. And of all people, it's my mom right in front of me. And so that was it. Like, boom.
I mean, it's important. Unfortunately, there's this. People don't realize it until afterwards that they need insurance. Especially life insurance, right? Anyone who's got a mortgage, I think, should have a life insurance, right?
Yeah.
It was the very first thing I did when I got my first mortgage. And the idea there is that if anything happens to me, everything's paid for and there's no care, right? So.
Yeah, and even in the special needs world, people think that everything's okay. They have this false sense of security, but I kind of want, merge these two passions and work with a lot of special needs families. And I've seen where lawyers have drafted a trust to where the special needs kid was the beneficiary of the trust, which does not make any sense at all.
That's kind of difficult,
Yeah.
right? Because then you've got someone who is managing a trust, or is the
funds are going
beneficiary,
directly
right?
to the individual.
And
yeah, Yep.
There's a lot of, well, first off, there's the decision-making process is going to be very difficult. And
They lose their benefits.
they'll
Easily.
lose their benefits because now they have this money
Income.
that
Yeah.
was trusted to them. So, you've got money, so you don't qualify for state or federal benefits anymore. But then they have that money. They're very easily trusting type people who are going to get scammed out of that money. A lot of times that does happen.
Yeah. Yep. So there's always a lot of things to
So do you
look
help
out for.
families set up the right type of trusts, the right type
Yeah,
of...
so I have a very small handful of people that I trust to handle the writing of a special needs trust. And so I'll work with the family on, where are you at? What are your concerns? Where do you want to be? Okay, and 9.9 times out of 10, right? A trust can be the solution when the time comes. I will say a properly written and maintained trust is an invaluable vehicle. And so I'll work with them on the financial side and then call up, one of my very few people that I trust to do it right. And then make that introduction, and we work as a team to make sure everything's okay.
That's very interesting. You know what, Ron? I think I'm going to give you a call.
Yeah.
Because, I have a will and I have insurance, but that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah.
You make a very good point about developing that trust properly. So,
Yeah.
so we'll have to talk about that. Because I fall into exactly that situation that we're talking about.
Yeah, and I could relate to that too because if I make too much money, I would lose my Medicaid, and that is losing benefits, and that's one of my biggest concerns with making too much money. Like, I wish I could make this infinite amount of money without having to worry about my Medicaid, because it would take a whole lot of stress off of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a balance there, Sam, right? So if you were to be able to make an infinite amount of money, you wouldn't need Medicaid, right? Because you'd have the money to pay for all of those things that you need, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, if your Medicaid goes away and you're still not making enough, that's why there's a balance there, right? And that's why that's why Medicaid goes away, or that's why your benefits, right? There's a whole slew of benefits will go away if you make too much money because they figure you can pay for it. And so there's a balance there that we all have to manage, and that's one of the things that Ron helps families with insurance and estates when he's not doing great work with Best Buddies.
Yeah, I'd like to, ask Sam a question about what kind of things that you learned after school, as far as work. You had internships places, did you, at businesses, or, what kind of jobs did you have, and how did you get those?
Well, you mean after Project Search, or?
We'll talk about your internships with
with
Project
them
Search.
as well. Yeah.
Well, in Project Search, I had a few internships. I had 3 different internships. One of them was Infusion Center, and I got to actually. Sorry.
It's okay, Sam.
You're good.
When I went to Infusion Center, I got to help a lot of people, and I got to clean and sanitize places, and I also got to my dad's current wife Lorraine, has a friend named Sherry who used to go there as a patient, so I got to see her most of the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. And then the second internship, I went to Great Bay Community College, and I had maintenance job, which
good.
which I do now, by the way.
For the same place or
for a
someplace else?
different place.
Oh, okay. So that was your second internship.
That was my second internship.
Yeah.
And I did not do as well as I do now, but I've learned a lot through that.
Sure.
And my third internship, unfortunately, was cut short, and it was called housekeeping. It was cut short because of COVID.
Right.
Soon after my third internship happened, COVID hit, and it was pretty saddening to me and the rest of the people on my class for Project Search.
Right. And so what happened after that? Once COVID was through,
I sat around for another 2.5 years trying to get a job.
Wow.
And that's because I wanted this job working with veterans in a nursing home.
Right.
And I couldn't get the job because of the benefits losing. And then after 2.5 years, I finally switched tactics to find a job.
Yeah.
And I was like desperate for any job at that point, just any job, because I was out of a job for so long because of COVID.
Right.
And I was like, you know, that feeling when you get really angry and you just want to blame all the people. That's where I was. So I just applied for this job at Walmart in Manchester, actually.
Yeah.
And I work as a maintenance associate now.
At Walmart?
Yeah.
That's good.
And you've been there?
I've been there for a little over a year now. September 27th of this year was my first year anniversary.
Nice. So you must like it.
I do like it a lot.
And they must like Sam.
They do like me.
Of course.
One thing that's interesting, too, about what you were mentioning out in the lobby was that you'd lose your benefits because it was a full-time position. You know, and this being media, maybe someone out there knows someone where there's a part-time opportunity where Sam could work with veterans. I mean,
Sam would be absolutely thrilled if he could work with veterans and not lose his benefits.
Yeah, I would be thrilled.
But that's not to say that you're not good at and you don't like your job at Walmart. You were telling me about one day at Walmart. So you work in maintenance at Walmart, right?
Yep.
Right, and so that's cleaning and moving stuff and things like that, right?
Yeah.
You do a lot of lifting because you're a strong fella. You're
Yes.
6'2", 6'3", and you're solid as a rock. I never was, but somehow I made you. But not too long ago, it was over the summer or something, something happened at Walmart and there was no one else in the entire maintenance department on duty that particular day. So you had maintenance all to yourself.
Yeah.
And so you were running wild everywhere, right?
Yep.
Every place they needed you. But they got something cool at Walmart that you got to use that day.
I forgot.
A robot.
Oh yeah, a robot.
Tell everybody how the robot works and how you control it.
Okay, well, basically,
That's pretty cool.
I cannot give the whole detail of all the technology behind it, but I can tell you that I program it, and there are a bunch of sections in the robot that you could choose. Like, for example, Action Alley or the deli department or other departments, and depending on which one you choose, it will go clean it itself.
Oh, wow.
And you could like program it to actually clean these different areas of the store.
Right? And you were able to set the machine to go clean one area while you go do something else somewhere else.
Yeah. I was able to do 2 jobs at once, basically with this AI.
And you control it with...
I control it with what?
With your phone?
Yeah, not entirely.
Oh, I thought you controlled it with your. A little electronic app.
I connect my phone to the thing, and it'll give me notifications when it's broken down or needs something out of the way or something, and then I would go find the robot, and then I would and then I would treat it with whatever it needed, and then it would go on again, and until the next time that happened, and then I would go off do something else.
So do you still use that regularly?
Actually, that robot is broken down right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's too bad.
Yeah, and we don't know what made it broken down. We're still waiting for someone to fix it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty cool because I mean you're doing maintenance work, but you're also, doing this high tech stuff. It's pretty cool that you've learned to do that.
It is.
That's a great illustration too. Some people, I wouldn't even say the majority, but there's a lot of people out there that would see people, with autism or any type of IDD and discount, I'll say their capabilities and innovation, and not the case. I mean, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, I mean, the right training, the right guidance, and then that day comes along where you're the only one there, and he gets to take over and show everybody exactly what he's capable of doing
Yeah.
for the day.
That probably. How did that feel?
It felt pretty good. I would not say that I would take pride in it because I'm religious, and I know in the Bible it says that God hates pride. But
Be humble.
yeah, I would be humble about it though, and it felt pretty good.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So you don't think you're not worried about the robot taking your job then?
I'm not worried about that. Why?
The robots aren't taking over quite yet.
They're not taking over quite yet, but soon, Maximum Overdrive the movie will be a reality.
Yep. Soon enough. So is there anything else we can?
Well, I just, about the events and stuff, I think you've given us a good overview of what Best Buddies does, and, I think there's probably more that... Go ahead, Josh.
About that event, you said that you're expecting about 600 people. Is it closed? Like, do you need an invite, or are there still tickets open? How does someone go about?
There are still tickets. They're going fast though. So if you just Google Best Buddies NH Gala 2023, it'll bring you right there.
Okay.
Yep. And another thing, if people can't make the gala or it's sold out or they want to get involved, one thing that we would love is for people who want to be part of the Citizens Program. We really need people who want to work with adults with IDD. There's a waiting list right now, and so we're really hoping that more people become aware of that program.
So there's a waiting list of
Buddies,
of
adult buddies.
waiting for a partner.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, and so we would love people to step up and take that on. It's
So give us an idea of exactly what they do.
so it's it ranges.
Is it training?
I was-
like you mentioned that there was some sort of leadership training for
Yeah,
these-
that's-
for the buddies in middle school and high school. Are there leadership training for the adults as well, or just guidance classes?
Yeah,
What
pretty
does
much
someone
just-
go through?
Pretty much just background check.
Yeah, I assume a background check.
Yep, and then from there it's like this is what it's kind of the suggestions, but people get really creative, and if you've come that far to say, yeah, I want to do this, they're gonna create their own relationship and kind of carve out what the best fit is for those two people.
Are you able to, if you kind of fill out a form and try to match the groups?
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Yeah, okay,
Yep.
that's what I thought. Yeah,
Yep, exactly.
yep. So like interests, age, location maybe?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So like my Citizens buddy Henry, he likes music and basketball.
Perfect.
Hey, awesome, and so, but yeah, there's so many people out there with different interests and different ideas. I think we'd be sucking the creativity out of it if we said this is what it is. Here's a very regimented
Yeah.
thing that these are boxes that you have to check. Kind
Right.
of take the creativity and fun out of it, and we believe that people are really capable of great things, and we kind of have that faith in the people who sign up to be a citizens partner as well.
So when they go to the next step, you were saying, so if you have a businessman who owns a large business, does he talk to other people that have matched up to create an internship, or what? How do you get that done, I guess?
Like on the jobs program side?
Yeah, the new program you're working on now.
So, I mean, here I guess would be another opportunity to just put out there, if you're a business owner or manager at a business and you'd like more information on how you could, potentially help these adults, reach out to Best Buddies New Hampshire. You can find us on the website. It's very easy, or even through messaging on Facebook. That'll go to the right place. But I would say if people want to get involved and really make a difference, those are the two big opportunities. One
that are coming
being
up.
An adult citizens partner, and then if you're an employer or HR director and you see, because it's again it goes back to the byproduct. It's like when you have, say, a kid with Down syndrome,
right?
Welcoming people into your store, those people light up the room. I don't care how big the room is; they're going to light it up.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and so not only from the consumer side, but the other employees that they're working with, it's a no lose proposition. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So there's the jobs program. I see Best Buddies it's nationwide.
International.
Oh, it's international.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Yep. I was out in Indiana pre-COVID, and there was someone from Ghana who had a chapter. Yeah.
In Ghana.
Yeah. It was
wow.
So it was founded by Anthony Kennedy Shriver.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And so his brother started Special Olympics.
Right.
And brothers being brothers, he's like,
I'm going to do something better than you will.
Yeah, and he loves Special Olympics, but what can we do that can complement that,
right,
or fill another void in some way? So he's actually the one who started Best Buddies.
Oh wow!
And
how did the state get involved with it? I mean, how did
Sarah Dennehy?
So one person basically.
Yep, one person.
And how big is your advisory board, and what kind of people are on it?
Yeah, right now we have 14 people. And we have an array of people. Most are in the professional world who just want to be involved, and it's great. It's awesome. But yeah, it was all Sarah Dennehy who started it from this small, tiny little idea, and starting a New Hampshire chapter to what she's created it and grown it to be here in the state.
How many programs are there? Do you know what the number is? Maybe is it broken down by school, different sections like schools or jobs or whatever?
Yeah, right now, so jobs program that's unfolding now.
So that's brand new, right?
Yep. And in schools, I think we're in like 33, 34. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. But yeah, just fast growth, and I think it just goes back to the very notion that when people look at what Best Buddies does, it's a no-brainer, Yeah, and there's a lot of great organizations out there, but for some reason this one just hits a little different.
Yeah, so I looked at the website, and I think the website kind of encompasses all chapters, and so there's a list of different types of programs, and it, obviously it talked about the middle school, high school, and the citizens, but then there's the leadership programs. And there was the public speaking is an actual program.
Yep.
And then I thought there was one that was self-advocacy. There's some advocacy training that some buddies can go through.
Yep.
So they can advocate for themselves in certain situations.
Exactly. Yep. A lot of leadership training.
But not all programs were available in every chapter. It was just, hence you said that jobs was just ramping up. So a year ago, the job training or the job program was not available here in New Hampshire. And so that's the newest one. Are there others that you're looking to bring in, or?
So that one took a lot of work to get to that point. And one person who I'd really like to credit to is Jeannie Delahi. So she's staff at Best Buddies, and when COVID kicked off, it was like, how do we keep growing, and reach more people when we can't go anywhere, when we can't do anything, we're not allowed to, basically see anyone. And Jeannie just brilliantly started these online Zoom classes, karaoke night. So she just filled up the schedule, and she had people from all over the country who heard about it, and was just jumping on Zoom, and new friendships were made. And so I think so much of the growth and credit also. I just really want to acknowledge her and what she's done. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Along those lines, there was another one. That was one that I didn't mention. There's the eBuddy program.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a program where you can be a buddy.
Yep.
But you don't necessarily have to be in person all
Yeah.
the time, right? So you can have an email friend, an online friend, a Zoom friend,
Yep.
and do things like that. And I think you mentioned you were doing an online thing with your buddy.
Yeah, right. So I think that's one of the silver linings to COVID was that people got used to the idea that, video conferencing is so valuable. Like otherwise, what are we going to do? Wait till COVID's over and not interact? I mean, yeah, and relationships are relationships, and even just from a convenience standpoint, if someone's saying, "Oh, I don't know if I can commit to this because I can't sign up to every week go do an activity with someone because life is busy. Everyone's life is busy.
Sure.
But can you carve out 30 minutes to check in on Zoom? Yeah. And if you do that, you'll probably find that it goes a lot longer than 30 minutes because you're having fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. Anything else you want to talk about? So you gave up music, huh?
Yeah.
I heard you were in a rock band. You don't want to tell us any great rock band stories? Well,
yeah.
actually, the greatest one was where you did the charity for Best Buddies. But
Yeah. No, I had a lot of really cool experiences. Yeah. Just one of the looking back, I don't miss it at all. Like I love what I'm doing now. But I have kids and I kind of like them, and I was gone Thursday through whatever and weeks at a time
trying
recording.
to keep those kids don't do what your
So
dad did.
is Stark playing? That's one of your children? That would be the first person I would think of that would want to play.
Yeah. He will be shortly. He seems. I bet he's going to be a drummer because he likes to he's
Hit
very
anything he
physical.
can,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. But yeah, you had asked about the stories. This story I always love to tell. I opened for George Jones one time.
Really?
Yeah, and I get to sit backstage with just on a couch. George is here, I'm here, and his wife is on the other side of the room. And I just got to talk to George Jones for about 20 minutes. And the stage guy comes out and he says, "Mr. Jones," 5 minutes. He goes, 10.
Oh, that must have felt fabulous.
That's just how George Jones being
He
George
He wanted to
Jones.
keep talking to you.
Oh, he just didn't want to be told what to do.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah,
What was the name of your rock band?
it was just my name, just Ron Noyes Band. Yeah, but
Oh,
a lot
wow.
of fun stuff. But yeah,
And you
like I
did
said,
some great stuff. I mean, I've listened to some of it, but I can understand, knowing him like I do now, why he's doing what he's doing. He's got a great family. He's a great dad, and he's trying to keep that going. I mean, that's like you said, you like your kids, so
Yeah.
The other job was a job at that time, but fun probably.
Yeah, very fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Nice. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss now. We've done it.
Yeah, I mean,
Done a
I
lot of
think
great stuff.
Yeah, I think the main thing is to, if you face straight ahead, the camera straight ahead, just remind people how to reach you, how to take a look at Best Buddies online. Just our viewers you might get some people
Yeah.
to volunteer from this.
Yep. Some things that we're looking for, definitely adults who want to join the Citizens Program. It's awesome. You'll love it. Even if it's just coming to an event to feel what the walk feels like or the gala. You go to one of those events and things on paper, now they're three-dimensional.
Right.
And it's a very different feel. So, that might be a good gateway. But I know there's also people out there who are just wanting to do something and get involved. And being a Citizens partner would be a huge, huge help to the organization and the buddies. Like I said, we've got a waiting list. If you're an employer or in HR and you see the value in maybe having a buddy come work there, a lot of value there. And thirdly, I hope someone's out there who works with veterans who might want to hire a fine employee part-time.
Thank you so much. I would love that to happen. So if you have a job for me like that, please reach out to 2000ssolomon@gmail.com. 2000ssolomon@gmail.com.
Good
You
job.
never know.
Hey, maybe something will come of it. I think what we'll do is we'll wrap it up a little bit early today. You can search for Best Buddies online, and it'll come right up. So you can learn about that program. I'm sure there's going to be donation links. I know that there's information about the gala on there because I saw it myself. And similarly, you can do the same thing. You can search for Project Search, and that will come up as well. That program is more for high school graduates who need job training, and just like Sam. Anyone who's interested in either of these programs, I can tell you that these programs not only benefit the individual that they're meant for, such as Sam, but they benefit the families greatly. It is a wonderful experience for the entire family, because the whole family does get involved, and gets the student or the buddy, and people get a break, people get something different, people make new relationships, and they're fabulous.
So I have one other thing, is that if you're listening or watching this tonight, I would ask that if you have a nonprofit and you'd like to come on and talk about it, we're going to spend the next couple of months doing that, and during the holidays. But that's one of the things we focus on all year round, is to get nonprofits to help them.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Liberty House all year.
Yes.
It's something that's close to both of us,
Right.
We both love helping out the Liberty House. But it's a year-round thing. If you'd like to promote your nonprofit, this is the perfect time of year to do it. This is what we do if you're a regular watcher of Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades, and you'll see more of these types of shows in the next couple of months.
So I want to thank Sam and Ron for being on tonight. I really appreciated the input, learned a lot, and thank you so much for that.
The honor is ours.
Thank you, Sam.
All right. With that, we will see you at the membership meeting in 5 minutes at 1732 Lakeshore Road, and we'll see you next week.